The arrival. The helicopter's blades beat a frantic rhythm against the oppressive silence of the Arctic tundra. Below, a singular stark white dome broke the monotony of the endless snow, the Hyperborea Research Facility. Inside, Dr. Ilara Vance, a botanist with a reputation for unconventional thinking, felt a familiar thrill mixed with a new unease. She was here to study Calyx gigas, a newly discovered species of flora thriving in a geothermal vent, an impossibility in this frozen wasteland. As the helicopter descended, the facility's director, Dr. Aris Thorne, a man she knew only through terse video calls, stood waiting. His smile, when she finally saw it up close, didn't quite reach his eyes. They were a startlingly pale blue, almost translucent, and seemed to fix on something just beyond her shoulder. "Welcome to the end of the world, Dr. Vance," he'd said, his voice a low hum that vibrated in her bones. "The bloom awaits." The anomaly. The calyx was breathtaking. Housed in a humid, cavernous biodome, it resembled a colossal, pulsating lily, its petals shimmering with an internal bioluminescent light that cycled through hues of emerald, violet, and gold. But its beauty was unnerving. The air around it was thick and sweet, almost cloying, and the silence in the biodome was absolute. No hum of machinery, no rustle of leaves, just the silent, rhythmic pulse of the plant. Ilara's instruments flickered and failed in its presence, and the video logs she sent back to her university were corrupted, the footage warped and filled with static. Aris was dismissive of her concerns. "The bloom creates its own energy field," he explained, his pale eyes fixated on the plant. "It's a delicate ecosystem. We must adapt to it, not the other way around." Ilara noticed he never seemed to leave the biodome, and a fine iridescent pollen now seemed to cling to his lab coat at all times. The metamorphosis. The isolation and the plant's constant silent presence began to wear on Ilara. She was plagued by vivid, disturbing nightmares of tangled vines and sweet, suffocating pollen. One night she awoke to a strange, rhythmic tapping on her door. It was Aris. He stood in the hallway, his body contorted at an unnatural angle, his skin having taken on the same pearlescent sheen as the calyx's petals. "It's calling to you, Ilara," he whispered, his voice a distorted echo of its former self. "Can't you feel it? The bloom wants to share its gift." A fine network of luminescent veins pulsed beneath his skin, and as he reached for her, his fingers elongated, the tips splitting open to reveal delicate, pollen-dusted stamens. The uncanny valley had become a terrifying reality. The spore. Fleeing from the transformed Aris, Ilara locked herself in the main control room. Frantically searching for a way to override the facility's lockdown, she stumbled upon Aris's private research logs. The final entry was a chilling revelation. The calyx was not a plant in the traditional sense. It was a parasitic, terraforming organism. The bloom was its final stage of reproduction, a massive release of spores designed to be carried by a lithing host, transforming them into a walking, sentient vessel for its propagation. The logs detailed Aris's willing surrender to the organism, his belief that it was the next stage of evolution. A sudden violent shudder shook the facility. On the security monitor, Ilara watched in horror as the calyx pulsed violently, its petals peeling back to reveal a grotesque gaping maw. Aris, whose features now barely human, stood before it, his body racked with convulsions as a cloud of shimmering spores erupted from his mouth, enveloping him. The escape. A klaxon blared through the facility, a proximity alert. A rescue chopper, dispatched after her missed check-in, was approaching. This was her only chance. As she raced through the corridors, she could hear a strange melodic clicking echoing behind her, the sound of the thing that was once Aris. She burst out into the blinding white of the Arctic, the roar of the helicopter a symphony of hope. As she was winched up into the chopper, she looked down at the dome, a perfect white tomb in the snow. Then a sharp, unfamiliar tingling spread through her arm. She looked down to see a faint, luminescent tracery of veins spreading from a scratch she hadn't remembered getting. A single, iridescent petal, impossibly vibrant against the stark white of the landscape, was clutched in her hand. The bloom was not contained. It was on the move, and she was the vessel.